Well, guys, it's here. One of the biggest games of the year, unfortunately, does not exactly come out the way we thought it would. Cyberpunk 2077 is out. Well, maybe not out anymore. However, we were supposed to do an actual review. Moving forward with the state of the game and everything that's happened of recent, we've held back our review because there's been a lot of stuff going on, and we're going to do an actual discussion on Cyberpunk. Right now, the state of the game where I'm at, I'm 17 hours into the game. I went with the street kid, and I'm level 12. So that's where I'm at. Nate, where are you at right now?
So I'm actually not too much further ahead of you, about 18 hours in.
Right.
And I did not plow through the story too much, man. It took me 13 hours, believe it or not, to get through the prologue. So that kind of goes to show you the route that I took, because I am enjoying this game. But man, so I went Corpo as well. So that's one thing, and I honestly am pretty pleased with that choice so far. I definitely like the route of Corpo and how he interacts with the world and everything. But Corey, what about you, man?
I'm a little bit less than you guys. It's kind of funny because we kind of talked about the prologues and how long it took us to play the prologues. Drew, I know you said you were about 5 hours. Nate, you were up to 13 hours, and I hadn't played the game yet, so it gave me a good sense of how much there is to do in this game outside of the main storyline. So I've played only about 10 hours so far, and it took me about 4.5, 5 to get through the prologue. And I have been more focused on the story than the side mission stuff, knowing that there was a prologue to get through. Yeah. If I didn't know that, I may have trailed off a bit more, because there is a lot to do early on in this game. But right out the gate, I'm playing on Stadia, so I'm getting a bit of a different experience. We're going to get into that in a little bit here. But my first impressions of this game are, it's definitely, I think, the hype was real for this game, and I think there's a good game here, but holy cow, with the way everybody's experiencing it right now, man, I don't know how it... Like, I don't know how some of these people are playing this game on other systems right now, other consoles.
Well, no, you raise a good point, Corey. Nate and I played on the Xbox Series X. Our cohort there, Steve, actually has it on the Xbox, the OG Xbox, and he no longer plays the game because it just doesn't work. Right? That's the other thing. So Nate and I, Series X, Corey on Stadia, and honestly, from the sounds of things, besides PC, Stadia is, as far as a console, I guess, feel, has the most stable kind of rate with less bugs and errors and issues. Because going in, man, like, there's just one bug after another, and this is one of the reasons why we can't do the actual review, is because now Sony has come out and said they've removed it completely from the PlayStation Store. You can't even buy it. You cannot buy the game. This is unheard of. A game that launches has never been removed from the store. Dude, No Man's Sky dropped. Everybody had one issue after another, and Hello Games have dug themselves into a hole at launch because of over-promising and this and that and whatever else, issues kind of thing, right? And then you saw Hello Games just win an award for their game for most ongoing game, or best ongoing game, which is phenomenal. So there's definitely possibility to turn around. But what CD Projekt Red has done is just unfathomable to me, that the fact that they just launched a game knowing it was broken. And that is just, it's disheartening for the gamers. The hype has been there for 7 years on this game, right? Man, so like, it's just unheard of. And now, like I said, Microsoft's offering refunds, and you just can't even buy it on the PlayStation Store. So besides what's going on out there in the ether with Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red, our time with the game, obviously 17 hours in, there's still something there that's kind of keeping me going. Not you, Nate, with 18 hours. So I want to kind of get into what's our... how we feeling the game is actually going for ourselves. Like, we all have heard about the bugs and things, but from a playing perspective, how's your time been with the game, Nate?
My experience, honestly, has been mostly positive, but a lot of the glitches and things that I've heard, like the game-breaking things, I haven't had. It's only crashed my console once throughout the whole time. Right. And I've been using the quick resume quite a bit, so I've been a little bit weary at times. But at any rate, it's actually run fairly well. But man, in-game bugs is just unfathomable, because what we saw at E3 for the last several years
Yeah.
It was nothing like what we get in this game. Unfortunately, at least on the Series X, it's like that. Because, man, where do I start? Where do we start, Drew? Because I know you got a whole list of things, and I got probably about 30 clips worth of random glitches that happen. But, man, where do we start?
Well, you know, we could go on. We can make a whole video just on bugs. Like, that's such an issue. Like, that just shouldn't be a thing. It honestly shouldn't be a video that we can create on behalf of CD Projekt Red. You know, this is the company that made The Witcher and The Witcher 2 and 3. 3 being one hit of next free DLC kind of thing, and just more content, and just nailing it out of the park. So the hype going into Cyberpunk was so big, and then we get in there and I get to one of the main story plots in the game, and the character is talking, but her lips don't move at all. Not at all. Until we get out of the cutscene, then her lips start moving. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You know, and I was just, so I played 17 hours. Out of those 17 hours, I'd say 14 to 15 of those hours were probably main campaign only. And the campaign, honestly, has me hooked. It is really well written, but there's just so many other issues in the game that just prevent it from being where it really should have been at launch.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not experiencing that many issues as far as running the game on Stadia. For the most part, I have a stable internet connection. It's hardwired. Today I actually played wirelessly on a laptop through Stadia, which actually worked really, really well. I had no issues whatsoever. It was running at 1080p, 60 frames per second, which I know they've been saying over the last week or so that they have been having issues in certain regions, not necessarily North America, but I know in the UK and certain parts of Europe over the last couple of days actually had an outage on Stadia, their first one ever.
Yeah.
So I know that caused a few issues there. So maybe we can kind of rule that all in as far as, you know, there's a lot more people accessing the service now because people are starting to hear that Stadia is one of the better options to experience this game. And the fact that I don't have these, you know, as many game-breaking issues or crashes, I'm able to experience this story probably a little more truthfully, you know, that CD Projekt Red wanted people to experience it compared to maybe, say, like Steve on OG Xbox who can't even play the game anymore, or you guys where you'll get the odd crash every once in a while. So, I mean, the only thing I really have to harp on is I get a lot of voiceover text over voiceover text, where I may be interacting with something and then a part of the story is going on and someone starts talking to me while something else is being said to me. So it's like, I get it. There's no such thing as a game that comes out now, especially one that's promised at this scale, that isn't going to have some sort of issues.
Sure.
But let's get real here. They pushed this game back once already, and it wasn't, I mean, it didn't do anything. It clearly, they just tried to bide their time and it didn't work. You know, everybody's upset with what Halo did, but wouldn't everybody have been upset knowing what the game's like now? Would they have been upset waiting another year for this game to come out in the form it needs to?
Well, you brought up a good point because Halo, they actually just did a multiplayer reveal, and they did a huge kind of discussion about where their game's at, and they said it's actually playable. Like, they could release it right now, but there's a lot of things that they want to refine just to, like,
polish,
increase the fidelity of the game, you know? Because
no bugs.
like right now, man, like they said, it's actually ready to go. But Cyberpunk a year ago, man, I don't even know where it was at. I can't even. It's totally not playable. Because right now, it's arguably not playable, right?
No, absolutely, Nate. The game isn't playable. Obviously, it's not playable when Sony takes it off their own service, which is such an eye-opener. And, like, what were they thinking at CD Projekt Red? Like, the big heads over there, right? The guys, the people running that company who actually released the game. Who hit the go button on this thing? Because it's a disgrace to see that.
They're sweating right now. They're sweating right now.
They've lost so much money
it, man.
because of it.
I hate to say it, but they needed to make it before Christmas. They're like, the big heads on top, they were seeing dollar signs, because if they would have missed this Christmas and all that, they would have cost them more in the end. Because people, like, it cost them $1 billion in stocks, but they've made way more than that in pre-orders alone. And, you know, like, as much as we're harping on the game, I kind of want to say, like, I do actually really like this game. I'm completely hooked. And, like, we can kind of get into what's good about the game. Like you said, Drew, the story. Like I haven't even
man.
touched it because
I
I've just
can't
been
believe that.
chipping away at side story stuff.
There's so
I
much
have done
side.
a couple main missions.
Sure.
But like I don't know, man. There's just I do enjoy, exploring Night City because at times it really does it's just a wonderful world at times.
Yeah, I think you hit on the point there, Nate, at times. Because when I'm in the city, at times, the city's just like deserted. It's like COVID
It's
just
weird,
hit
man.
Night City. You know what I mean? Like I'll be going down the highway and there's not a car in sight. Or I'll be walking through the streets and there's nobody around. I'm like, this is a city. Where
And
is
this-
everybody? But yet,
and
if you play it on the PC version, that is loaded to the nines and it's completely different. Yes, PC is where they focused. I honestly wonder if CD Projekt Red should have focused on PC next
Only.
gen. It
Yeah.
left out PlayStation 4 and left
Yeah.
out the OG Xbox, honestly, and went that way only, and they would have had half these issues that they're currently having. Yeah, we're still having an absolute ton of bugs, and that's why I would say don't even think about this game for the next year, because they are
Give it
way
6
out.
months.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
man,
sure. You
they
gotta
need
give it.
more.
We gotta give it some time because
Yeah.
this game is gonna be a great game. I don't think any of us are
Oh, yeah.
thinking that it's a terrible trash game. It's just a game that's causing a lot of people grief right now because they're having a tough time enjoying it. Right, and that's just, it isn't what they promised, and I agree with you, Drew. I think they should have just nixed the fact of having this game come out on the original gen consoles, because I mean, let's get real here, they obviously didn't focus on it. I know there's been a big
Not at all.
argument saying that over the last 7 years, what have they been developing the game on? What was the beginning development of this
PC,
game on?
like it always
Yeah,
is.
exactly. It wasn't on current gen consoles. I mean,
No.
it would have been nice, obviously, to get a running version of the game for current gen consoles, mainly probably more for CG Projekt Red, because they're just going to sell more copies of the game, right?
Yep.
But let's get real here. This game was brought into the realm here to kind of display to us what these next gen consoles can do. We know what PCs can do. You can load them up with huge GPUs and all that kind of stuff, but we want to see what these new consoles that everybody just got their hands on can do. And this game was supposed to showcase those features. And again, some people are experiencing it the way it should be, and a lot of people aren't. So it just, to me, it's just like they should have waited longer. Again, I'm enjoying this game. I feel like we are really trashing it, but this is kind of the
deservedly
this is
right,
kind of
though.
exactly right. This is kind of just the way the game is making everybody feel right now. In 6 months, maybe in a year, everybody's gonna be like, "This is the best RPG I've played in years." Who knows, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about one of the biggest topics in the game too, honestly, and it's just a big, man, it stands out right from the beginning of the game, is the sexual content in this game is so over the top. It blows my mind how much sex is in this game. I'm just like, it's everywhere from the minute you start the game to, I think the point now, I'm starting to, you don't have to really worry about it as much, but I still hit points within the campaign. I'm like, holy crap, man. Like, it's like, wow, you
In your
really
face.
went
Raunchy,
there, right?
yeah.
It is. They were like, you know what? We're here. It's CD Projekt Red's game. This is Cyberpunk, and we're making a point. I'm just going, I don't know if you really needed to do that for this game. I really don't know if all that content was necessary to make the game, because the overall campaign itself, which I love, really doesn't need it. Like, a lot of
No.
it just isn't necessary. And I'm just kind of, I guess I'm flabbergasted that there's just so much of it in the game where it's just not really, it doesn't enhance my experience at all.
It didn't need to be as pushy, I think, as it was, but I
Sure.
did hear in an interview with one of the devs that they were saying that they wanted to kind of paint this world like in the future where it's, I don't want to say sexual, I guess, but
Yeah.
where everything's just very open, right? Like,
Sure.
it's just, I don't know. that's pretty much where I'm at. It's
Everybody's very liberal with themselves.
It's a little bit much, but I don't know. I haven't had too much in my side quest journey so far. So
Oh yeah, but you can customize the size of your junk. I'm like, come on, man. Like, why is that?
But you don't have to either, though.
No,
So
no,
it's not like
like,
but again,
seriously.
it's the key. It's there for people that it piques their curiosity, right? Like they've added a lot of stuff into this game that most games don't have or have had very little of.
Yeah.
So they're trying to throw you into this immersive experience, especially having this be in first person. Like, I'm at some point, this game's going to be released in some sort of VR format, and it probably will be amazing. Even if that's years from now, who knows? But it's just it's the way that game's designed. Again, I agree. I think it's definitely a little over the top. There's a lot of it if you want like if you want to experience it, it's there.
Sure.
Again, the game runs you through it for sure, definitely near the beginning here.
Oh, yeah.
But I think like you said, once the game opens up a little bit more, you know, it's not going to be necessarily in your face. But yeah, it's definitely something that you don't see in video games nowadays. That's for sure.
No, for sure. I want to touch on Johnny Silverhand as well. Nate, obviously, I don't think you've got to experience him as much as we have.
I know. Oh yeah, as much.
Right? But I think, okay, you play as Johnny Silverhand. I'm just gonna call it out. You get the experience. But the reason why I'm bringing that point up is because my character V, and then when you transition into Johnny Silverhand, are just two completely different characters. And I'm supposed to be more of like a badass, and he's just whomping, like going right through everybody.
Everybody.
And I'm just, man, I have to do literally like 10 shots to the head to take out somebody. And you use Johnny's gun, it's like, boom, you can blow through that guy and the guy behind him. I'm like, man, like a little balance.
Johnny Silverhand.
Well, I know, but it's
Keanu Reeves.
And they did that in The Witcher, man. You got to play
just
as
crazy.
Ciri, and she was completely the most all-powerful being.
Oh,
and
man.
that's why we get this, and where we get it from is from the Witcher series.
Yeah,
this
I get
isn't
it, but
something we
still.
haven't seen from them, and I actually like it. It's like you kind of get to feel all-powerful for a short period of time, especially because I'm playing on hard, which is difficult.
Yeah,
compared to
it's
normal
not.
and
That's
the other ones. So.
that would not be easy. I'm playing on normal, and it's hard enough for me. Again, Drew, I think the gunplay's a little spongy. I agree. Other than that portion where you play as Johnny Silverhand for a little bit there, the gunplay does seem spongy. But again, this is an RPG, so your weapons aren't overly good this early in the game either, right?
17 hours in. A headshot should be a headshot at this point. Man, that guy should drop. And he's just not.
So.
You know what I mean? Like,
there
come
are
on.
levels for your enemies, though. So if you are in a low threat area, then you will one-shot them. But if you're in a very high, you're in for a time.
Since we're talking about our levels, Nate, why don't you open up and talk about the actual upgrading system? Because it isn't lighthearted at all. That is some pretty serious content in the game.
Oh, man, there's a lot to it. So every time you level up your base level, there are, I believe, 6 categories. You got body, reflexes, intelligence, technical ability. See if I can do this all off the top of my head. Cool, and I can't remember the last one. But anyways, they all kind of do, one's health, or in my case, I did cool, which is the stealth-based route, surprisingly. And I can say for the stealth, it's pretty good in the game. But the skill tree, man, it's
not even close.
I can't say that it's super intuitive, because there's some of the things that you get where I'm just like, I don't necessarily need this. It's just like kind of some basic, buffs to my weapons or things like that. I was kind of hoping for more skill-based things in the skill tree anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, you get your base skills where you level up your body and all of that, and then you get other skill points which are obtained through actually just doing things. So if you're hacking, you level up your hacking. If you're shooting, you level up your shooting, which that is not the right terminology. But at any rate, if whatever you do, you level it up, which I actually like, because it makes you want to do everything so you can level up really fast, or if you just want to focus on stealth like I am, you can crank that out right away. But I'm just a little bit indifferent. I do enjoy it, but I think that they could have done better.
I feel like there's a lot there that just seems a little overdone.
And I need to say one thing, dude. Crafting, man. They completely botched crafting in this game. It's completely pointless.
I haven't done anything at all.
I personally haven't. I've watched enough footage because I'm doing stealth, right? I mean, I haven't played all the different things, but from what I heard, someone went all in on crafting, and it was a complete waste of time. They don't have a very good balanced system with materials, so by the time you craft one weapon, you just pick up another one anyway that's better
than what
20
you
minutes. So that's kind of like my point. There's just it's not perfect. But I do think that there's definitely some enticement and character building. Like you can go one route or the other, or several routes.
Well, okay, so I started up 2 different paths. I went Street Kid, jumped in. The first time I played was 3 hours straight. Street Kid. And then I picked Nomad as the other path I could take. And honestly, the only difference is between the dialogue that you get choices of were the 10-minute intro. And then that was it. You're back into the same story. So I wasn't playing like 2 different stories. I was playing different dialogue options, but I was hoping for something a little different, I guess. When they said you can pick an actual life path, I was hoping that it was going to show a significant difference between going Street Kid or the Nomad route. Dude, you pick Nomad, you get this cool little buggy-like car, and then you make it to the city, and you lose your car, and they give you the standard one. I was like, whoa, well, why? I got Nomad. Why don't I have my car? Nope, gone. I was just like, pointless. Like, just pointless. Unfortunately, it's just not what we wanted in the end. But again, like we keep going back to, we're still having a good time. Like, the campaign is awesome. Keanu Reeves is fantastic. I think he's such a cool character, and he's
his
just
integration.
Yeah,
He's a little stoic though. His character, like, he doesn't have, like, I get it. That's who Keanu Reeves is. I mean, anybody that's a fan knows the way his acting style is.
Yeah.
But I just felt like he was a little kind of statuesque in this. In certain portions during the dialogue, it's just like, oh man, it's just, I feel like he could have a little more emotion. And then other times he shows it. So I mean, it's just the way the game played out. But for me, it's just, I want to like this game more, and I think as time goes on, we're all going to enjoy this game more. It's just a matter of how much time can you commit to something that's as frustrating as this can be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to wrap it up for our Cyberpunk talk, because we could obviously keep going. We can do a whole podcast on this, but I think we should wrap it up. Let us know if you've actually had the ability to play the game. Hit us up at insidethegame.ca and let us know what you think of Cyberpunk 2077.
Probably keeping him hidden from Arasaka. Must have worked on a top secret project.
Mm-hmm. Hidden from Arasaka or any other megacorp that wants what he knows. Decrypted map of upcoming Kang Tao convoy routes.
Think Hellman might be in one of them? Thing is, which one?
Take a look at the specs on this one.